Hello everybody, this is John Campbell from Real Combat Media Radio. We have a great exclusive interview with the WBA Light-Middleweight Champion of the World, Austin No Doubt Trout. We're talking to him ahead of the biggest fight of his career against Freeweight World Champion and Puerto Rican superstar Miguel Cotto. First of all, I'd like to introduce to the fans Austin Trout. Here we go. Say hello to everyone.
Hello everybody. How you guys doing? Real Combat Media, thank you for putting me on, John.
Yeah, no worries, it's a pleasure as always. Right, first of all, you're undefeated. How do you plan to continue to maintain this undefeated record?
Well, I have a formula for success, and it's three things: faith, determination, and hard work. And that's how I plan to continue staying undefeated. I believe in God. I believe in myself. I believe I can do it. I'm determined to do it, and I work hard to do it.
Of course. Now, first of all, let's talk about your upbringing. Now, you're from, excuse me if I pronounce this wrong, Las Cruentas.
Las Cruces.
Las Cruces in New Mexico. Talk to the fans about your neighborhood and how you grew up.
Well, we live in a big desert. It's a small city. It's less than 100,000 people. It's a college town. A good place to grow up. Not very much, big on crime. But the most problem is that there's not much to do. So kids will naturally start getting in trouble. I was one of them. We figured out somewhere not to entertain ourselves, and it wasn't mostly the productive way. So I thank God for boxing because it took a lot of my time off of my hands.
Yeah. So you what was your family life like? Were you part of a big family, small family, a close family?
I was a small family. It was just me, my sister, my mom. Single parent home, and my mother. She actually worked as a nurse. She worked mostly graveyard, so she slept all day, worked all night. So it was me and my sister a lot by ourselves.
So was you the older sibling in that family?
Yes, sir.
So did you take some sort of a role of like bringing up your sister, teaching your sister the ways?
Well, I try. We were more of a team. We're only about a year and a half apart. So we were more of a team. I don't know if she really looked at me as a father figure, but I did want to look out for her.
All right. School. Was you a good kid at school? Was you a bad kid at school? Talk about school.
Oh, I was good in school, actually. I got pretty good grades my whole life. I was the type that always liked school. My sister, she didn't like school so much, so we were really different then. My senior year, I was on honor roll, which I'm pretty proud of. And if it wasn't for the Olympics and me trying to pursue my career, I would have never stopped college. But I did drop out to try to pursue a career, and I'm back in college now, 27. Go figure. Trying to get some kind of degree to, make my mom proud and my kids proud.
Yeah, I just found out speaking to you on Facebook that you're doing a degree in statistics. Talk to the fans about that. That brings a whole different side to Austin Trout.
Well, yeah, I'm really good at math and science, and I would like to apply some kind of career after boxing to those two fields.
Oh, of course you can't do it forever. It's not one of those. It's good that you're looking ahead and looking after boxing because a lot of boxers don't do that, and then they get a bit stuck after boxing. They fall into a few bad habits.
Right.
It's quite important.
Right. I don't want to be that type. And I also feel like even while I'm training, to take a class of something that just keeps my mind working, it helps me function on a mental level. I would like to be spiritually, mentally, and physically in shape for a fight. So I think it helps out the fight game as well.
Yeah, no, of course it's very mature of you to have a plan ahead of boxing as opposed to just simply retiring and then you just a fish out of water knowing the same thing for the past 20 years. You started boxing. How old was you? What first got you into boxing?
I was 10 years old when I first started boxing. My mom, she was a big fight fan, so naturally I inherited being a fight fan. We watched all the fights, not just the heavyweights, like typical 90s people used to. We watched, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., Oscar De La Hoya coming up. Oh, man, we watched all the fights. And so I had a strong love for the game before I even started. And Rocky was one of my favorite movies growing up. And it took me like years to figure out that Rocky 1 and 2 weren't the same movie.
Or could you not tell with the different result at the end? Did that not quite old
Yeah,
enough?
yeah. I was like, he won this time. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, what? Yeah.
No, I'm 19 years old, so that's just a little bit before my time. So I know you're only 27 yourself, but you're quite the older compared to me. What I was gonna say.
Yes.
So you developed a need to go on box because you've watched other fighters as a young kid. It's something that you grew up with.
Right. And not to mention, I was I was pretty small for my age and pretty slow, so I didn't really thrive into the other sports. I like to play them, but I didn't really thrive. I mostly was last one picked and all that. I found out that I was good at boxing, so of course naturally you like what you're good at. So I kept going with boxing, and it actually helped me become a better athlete. So now I'm before I used to suck at basketball and football, American. Now I'm pretty decent at everything.
Yeah, well, that's a different thing with the US and the UK because in the US it's always strength, it's all weightlifting, it's wrestling. You've got a wrestling background. It's tall sports like basketball. You're not quite tall enough to play basketball. You got a slim build,
Right.
so you're not quite big enough to play American football. With the UK, we play soccer, and I think you'd perfect for soccer, but it's a shame it's not that big in America, is it?
Right. Well, it's getting a lot bigger, and I love playing soccer. I did play as a young lad, and I do encourage all kids to play soccer first. It helps them get that coordination, athleticism that can help them throughout any sport they want to play.
Yeah, yeah. So you realise that you was better with your fists than with your feet or with your arms.
Yeah, exactly. I was faster with my hands than my feet.
So is it always boxing that you've wished to do as a sport? What point in your amateur career did you decide, right, this is what I want to do, and then fully commit yourself to that?
I think it wasn't until I was about 15 when I first made it to nationals. It was my first time making it to the Junior Olympic Nationals, and once I was there, I lost. I didn't win it or anything, but I lost to the guy who won the whole tournament, and I gave him a darn good fight. So that kind of helped me with my confidence. It's like, well, look, if I take it just a little more serious or worked a little harder or got a little bit better, I could have beat him, and I would have been national champion. So that's kind of the turning point when I figured that I could really do this for a living.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. A lot of the top pros who reach the world level aren't necessarily the people that do the very best at amateur. It's the people that just nearly get to the very top and then lose the final fight or get beat, don't quite win a medal at the Olympics because that drives them further. They don't feel like they've got it all and they need to go and do the best as they can at the professional level.
That's true. That's absolutely right. I was the Olympic alternate in 2004, so I didn't quite to make the Olympian, but I was close, and I was there in Greece, which was a blessing in itself. But it's all the motivation to make sure that I don't fall short in the pro game.
Oh, well, you've got plenty of years to go for that. What do you consider to be the highlights of your amateur career?
Winning the national tournament in 2004, I say winning, through making it through the Olympic trials, the box offs. I was rated like number 3 in the world at one point. Just going to all the international duels that they took me on.
Yeah, it's an opportunity if you become a very top amateur because you get to travel the world, which a lot of kids don't really get the chance to do. Very few of us are that privileged.
Exactly.
So I believe that you turned pro at 20. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What influenced your decision? I believe that Greg Cohen is your promoter. Was he your promoter from the start?
Yes, he is.
What influenced your decision to go pro at that stage?
Well, I felt like I did all I could in the amateurs, besides being an Olympian. And I did not want to wait till the next Olympics to try to make that dream come true. So after getting some international experience, traveling the world, I just decided it was time. In September of 2005, I turned pro. And actually, me and my current manager, Bob Spagnola, we've been together since I turned pro. And then as of last year, we signed with Greg Cohen.
Yeah, so it was purely for the right reasons because I noticed that a lot of people turn pro too early because they need the bills paying and this, they want to go for the glory. You made the calculated correct decision to turn pro at the time. You felt ready for
Right. And I mean, it was also influenced. I had a daughter at a time, I was a teenage father, so my daughter, she was growing up, and I felt, it's time to start making a career out of this thing and see what it could do to help feed us. So she was a big influence in me turning pro, but I did still wait because I wanted to turn pro right after the Olympics. And my coach advised me. He's like, you know what, just get as much international experience as you can. They like you, they're gonna take you, and I'm very happy that I did. I did what I had to do. I've even beat some Olympians, from Korea. What is his name? I think he was gold medalist in the 2008 Olympics. I beat him my last last amateur fight. So I proved to myself that I could have been in the Olympics by doing that, and that's all I needed to know was that I was ready for, the world.
Oh, well, it's a crossroads. You take one choice or the other, either if both could be the correct route, but you can only take one. We've only got one life, of course. Now, you've to this date, you've progressed through your career brilliantly, and not really any of your opponents have seemed to give you much of a trouble. You've picked up minor titles along the way, shall we say. Is there one opponent which stands out to you as a tricky or symbolises a hump which you've got over?
I'm sorry, say that one more time, boy?
Is there one opponent, I know that Cotto is like the biggest opponent of your career, possibly of your life, but is there one opponent which stands out up to now which has been tricky or has been like you've got over a hump symbolically?
I would have to say, Delvin Rodriguez definitely had the bigger name, but one of my toughest fights was between David Lopez from Mexico and Nilson Tapia from Panama. Those two were pretty tough blokes, and we had some very good fights. Those are the two toughest fights I've been in. And I still came out pretty unscathed.
Yep, you always do. You've done quite well up to now, I must say. Now, when you got your title shot, was it a long time coming? Had it been talked about for a long time, or did it just seem to fall in place and you was the guy that got the shot?
No, it was definitely a long time coming because, I was out for a year and 5 months with that number one position, trying to get my title shot, and they kind of jerked me around. The politics, really screwed me up, and right when I'm about to get my title shot, excuse me, we had a janky promoter by the name of Shelly Finkel who jerked us around even more and gave up my spot to Canelo's brother. He won the title, but he had to fight me next, so then I ended up getting a fight. So it was a very long time coming. I sacrificed a year and 5 months of my life to make the shot come.
Well, yeah, you did. You faced Canelo Alvarez, brothers Rigoberto Alvarez. He's a tough fighter, and he had no intention of letting you have the belt. Taking into account the vacancy of the title, did you mentally prepare yourself for that as it wasn't his title, he was also there to win?
Right, and I was trying to fight, Miguel Cotto. I was trying to fight, whoever had the belt at the time. I believe it was Cotto who beat Yuri Foreman for it. So I felt like I was supposed to be in line for all those shots, and it just never happened. But, by God's grace, it ended up coming at the right time. It might not have been my time, but it was the right time.
Yep, you had that. You had that in February 2012, I believe. You had the fight turned out to be reasonably straightforward for you for the most part. You had a large edging skill. It was quite obvious from the start. Did you feel Did you feel that same comfort in the ring as, like, for example, I would watching you, knowing oh he's got the edging skill, he just needs to get through this? Did you have that same comfort in the ring?
Yeah, no, I was definitely I was very comfortable with it, with the fight and how it was going, and I actually won that February 2011.
Yeah, that's correct. Now, moving on to your last fight, you've mentioned this. Delvin Rodriguez, I know him because he fought our British champion Ashley Theopane a couple of years back. Now, I noticed early on in the fight that he was able to land quite a few counter right hands to your jab, your southpaw jab. Now, later on in the fight, I noticed that this didn't happen as much. Was that an adjustment that you made?
Yeah, I did, and I think the reason why he was less likely to engage was because I landed some good left hands in the beginning, and the brawler and Devin just left him. It seemed like he didn't want to fight no more, and I was just waiting each round for him to start coming on where I could pick him apart. And instead of waiting for him, I should have just done what I had to do to seal the deal. So I mean, it was an off night for both of us, I feel, but I still did more than what I needed to do to get a decisive win.
Oh yeah, of course you were winning the rounds, and when you were winning the rounds, you thought that you'd try and pick up the fight later on, but he didn't seem to do that. So it was sort of a bit of a stalemate towards the end. It was a bit. I was expecting him to come at you a bit more because he had nothing to lose at that point, really. I guess.
Right.
Right, we all know Cotto was being discussed for rematches with Pacquiao, rematches with Mayweather. How long before the signing of the fight did your name get mentioned and you start going to the table?
You know, I believe I don't know how long my name was being mentioned because I found out maybe I'd say 7 hours before the public did. You know, it was like my advisor Al Heyman called me. It was like, "Look, you got the Cotto fight," and I was like, "Don't play with me, man. Stop playing with me. I ain't getting Cotto fight." And then he's like, "Listen, don't say anything. Wait till Cotto tweets it. Once he tweets it, then it's on and popping." So about 6 hours later, I see the tweet from Cotto's official Twitter account, and that's when I attempted a backflip. It didn't go so well, but I didn't hurt myself. I didn't land it, but I didn't hurt myself.
So that was a particularly happy moment in your life, I would guess.
Oh, definitely. This is what I've been waiting for. This type of opportunity to get a good fighter in there who has a style that meshes with mine, that's going to help me shine come December 1st.
Well, I'm guessing that the negotiations quite straightforward. I don't think there's going to be many things that you demand when it comes to a fight with Cotto at the Garden.
Oh, no, sir. I'm not. I'm just happy for the opportunity.
No, it's a brilliant opportunity. What condition are you currently in both in terms of weight and in fitness? Like, how close to you 100%?
Oh, my conditioning is great. I mean, I'm not 100% right now, but I was in good shape coming into camp. So basically, we can kind of just coast through camp instead of having to kill ourselves the whole time. I can take days off if I need to. My weight is good. My conditioning is good. We already went 10 rounds the other day with 3 different sparring partners, 30-second rest, and I felt fine. So my conditioning is great. I'm excited.
But yeah, because you are quite a busy fighter for a fighter at this level. You're besides the past year, you've actually been quite busy, which most fighters aren't at this level. Most fighters only have 2 fights a year, and you actually keep it up. So I'm guessing that you don't fluctuate in weight as much as most fighters will do.
I try not to. Because one thing I absolutely hate about boxing is losing weight. Now, I can get up there. I can get up to as big as 190, but I try not to let myself go no more than 175.
Yeah. Briefly talk about the schedule of your camp. I know that you said it's a relatively easy camp because you're in good shape, but how long is the camp? What sort of training? What do you do when you wake up? What do you do in the afternoon?
Well, yeah, we go for our runs. We get a boxing workout in the afternoon and a strength and conditioning workout right afterwards. Unless I'm, feeling tired, then we'll push our strength and conditioning to about 7 at night. We do work out around 6 to 8 hours a day.
Now, as you've said before, and as I've seen you been quoted, you feel like the challenger in this fight, which is quite understandable. Are you actually training like it was Cotto who possesses the belt? And are you? Is this the toughest training camp of your life?
Yes, definitely. One thing is hard to do when you have a fight like this that you've been waiting for is to not overtrain. I want to go so hard in the gym every day, all day. But, I also have to listen to my body because that's how you get injured. And I would be just absolutely devastated if I was injured and had to pull out this fight.
Yeah, no, I heard that Ricky Hatton had a bit of a tweak before the Pacquiao fight, and he said he was devastated because he believed that he overtrained. And that's the last thing you want to do. You'd rather go in there. You'd rather go in there 100%, so you know that you give yourself a good honest try.
Right, exactly.
Right, of course. How excited are you with regards to fighting at Madison Square Garden, the home of boxing, the Mecca?
Yes, oh man, that in itself is just freaking out of this world. I'm also a New York Knicks fan, who the basketball team that plays there, and just the history in that place is amazing. That's where Ali Frazier had their fights. Floyd Patterson, Sugar Ray Leonard. Like the list goes on of the fighters that's been in there. And to be added to that list of championship fighters and champions that, I'm the champion, to be in that list is an honor in itself.
Oh, no, you're on that list. You're very much on that list, and you should be very proud of yourself. Of course, Cotto's never lost in the Garden, if I'm correct. And also, even more importantly, the crowd will no doubtly be pro Cotto. What do you make of this? Do you enjoy this? Do you relish this? Because you might get a bit of hostility from the Garden.
Well, I relish it. It's not my first time being in hostile waters. I've been in Mexico fighting the Mexican champion, been in Panama fighting the Panama fighter, been in Canada fighting the Canadian fighter. So it's it's like another day in the office, and really I'm just gonna absorb it. I'm gonna pretend the cheers are for me, and in the fight I'm gonna turn those jeers to cheers for me.
Yeah, no, what is there in terms of long-term career pressure for this fight? Forget the short term. I mean, you're 27 years old. No doubt you'll get future chances should you lose this fight. But you're not a baby at the same time. So are you thinking, this is my fight, I need to take this? Otherwise, you don't know where you're going to end up in 5 years' time.
Right. I feel like the boxing world does not want me to be in that top position, because the top people in the boxing game don't own me. So I feel like that they're just waiting for any reason to get me out of there, and I'm something that they can't get rid of. They've avoided me for a long time, and now that I'm in this position, De La Hoya said it himself. He's worried that I'm gonna mess up his plans for Canelo Cotto. I don't know why he ever thought about looking past me. He hasn't learned his lesson with Victor Ortiz, so I look at this as a make or break fight. But then again, I look at every fight as a make or break fight.
Oh, well, of course. Well, the problem with fighters with you is you're a very skilled fighter. You've got great ability, but at the same time, another fighter could always fight a different guy who's not as skilled, who'll give them more money. You're in that tough position where you've got to get the fights to get the future fights, but that first person has to give you that chance. And I bet you're very glad that Cotto's give you the chance.
Right. Me too. And it really shows the heart of Cotto. He is a warrior who doesn't shy away from a challenge, and this shows it right there.
No, this really does show, because he could have a difficult night with you when he could have fought a much easier fighter for a bigger payday.
Yeah.
No, I do. Much respect to Cotto for taking this fight, but obviously much respect to you for taking the fight. But of course you're going to take the fight. It's a brilliant opportunity. Now, we all know what Cotto was capable of doing in the ring. At the start of his career, we remember the bull who used to walk through people, corner his man, beat them down. But as his career's progressed and he's moved up in the weight classes, we see a lot more from him. We see skill, we see counter punching, we see good ability, especially against the likes of Margarito when they've been big, strong fighters also. Now, what do you think he's going to bring against you? Do you expect a game plan from the start to corner you and instantly try and remove your legs, take your body? Is that the sort of thing you're expecting him to do?
Yeah, no, I don't really see Cotto outboxing me, but I feel like he does have the skills to try. And so, we're working on a game plan in case he does try to move a lot, which we've seen him do lately. We're also preparing for the best Cotto, and in my opinion, that was the 140-pound Cotto, who would stop down, try to get inside, body punch, and break his opponents down. So we're getting ready for that too. And I feel like being the bigger man, I would like to push him back a little bit early, just show him that you're not going to bully me in there. So we have a few plans of what to do with Cotto, and depending on what Cotto shows,
Yeah, I would say you've got the edge in sheer boxing ability, but there's a lot that Cotto's got that comes with years and years of championship fighting. Are you confident strength wise that you're on par with him in terms of sheer power?
I do. I definitely do. I'm a natural junior middleweight, and I've fought guys that came down from super middleweight, and I've rocked them. I've fought guys that as soon as they were done fighting me, they moved up all the way to light heavyweight and started knocking people out, and I've rocked them. So I know I have power. I know I'm strong. I'm just physically body strong. I can punch with both hands. It may not knock you out with one punch, but I plan on hitting him with a lot more than one punch.
Yeah, you tend to stop people through the attrition as opposed to one bam and then they fall to the floor. A lot of fighters who have great knockout records seem to have that. Given many examples over the years, I could name dozens and dozens. Do you have any worries about a decision not going your way, or do you simply aim just to do your best?
Well, I'm going to do my best and put it in God's hands. I do want to beat him decisively, so that way if they do steal it from me, is going to be obvious, and we could get the public behind me saying, that was an outright robbery. If the judges don't give me a fair shake, then that's their problem. They're going to have to deal with that with God. But I want to make sure that I beat him so decisively that no matter what the judges say, everybody knows that Austin Trout was the winner that night.
Are you looking for it to go the distance? Are you expecting that there's much chance of you stopping Cotto?
I would love to stop him. I think I'm able to stop him. I'm not going to look for the knockout, but we're going to break him down and look and try to get a late stoppage.
Yeah, well, I'd like to talk about a couple more of the up-and-coming fights. What do you think of Pacquiao Marquez 4? Now, these are my favourite fights. This is the fight of this generation. I love the trilogy. I'm glad that it's going to be a fourth. What do you think?
I like the fight. I loved all the other fights that they were in. Definitely looking forward to that fight. I wish that they would stop playing though. Go ahead and give us the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight.
Is that the fight that you believe?
I wish they would have done it, to be honest, say a year or two ago when both of them were looking at their peak. It's looking to me like both of them have kind of gone down in the skill. They're not so much as their peak no more. But, that's a fight that needs to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I believe that they both got the same ability, but I think Mayweather's lost half a step. Pacquiao's not as forward. He's not as aggressive as he used to be, especially at the end of the Bradley fight. That was really disappointing. But
right.
Would you not say that Martinez Mayweather's the biggest fight to happen? That's the fight I want to see. I think that's the best fight out there.
I do too. I would agree. What he did to Chavez Jr. was just it was beautiful performance. That's actually somebody who I would love to fight after paying a little more, because I feel like beating Cotto, beating Canelo, then I would be in line to fight somebody like Martinez. But Martinez, he's no spring chicken either, so he needs to go ahead and get those big fights as well.
Oh, if you're going to have to you win this fight and you're in a long line you're in a line to fight Mayweather, you're in a line to fight Canelo, you're in the line to fight this fight. If you win it well, it puts you right in there now. Are you looking to fight Martinez? Because I'd say that's a big challenge. You got two southpaws, and I would say you give a deficit in skill in that fight, to be honest. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think I would love to fight Martinez. I think it would be a great fight. He's a great champion, and he's on top of his game, and that would be a fight I would like to have. To fight somebody who's on top of the game, that they can't discredit that win at that time. I feel like if I fight Cotto, when I beat Cotto, I think people are going to sit there and tell me that he was over the hill, he wasn't as good as, blah, blah, blah. Then if I was to, fight Mayweather, say a year or so from now, they'd say the same thing. But if I was to be able to fight Martinez, fresh off a Cotto win, I don't think they can say that he's not on top of his game because, look at his performance he just pulled.
Oh, no, I don't think anybody could take this fight away from you. If they do, then it's terrible. You see that Cotto just give a great performance against Mayweather. If you do anything better than Mayweather done, then there's no one can take this win away from you, and I hope that you know that. Anyway,
yeah, definitely.
Right, I was going to ask you how big. I love asking boxers how big of a fan they actually are and how much they follow the sport, but you've already answered that before. Was there anything more you'd like to say? Do you follow the sport vigorously?
Yes, I'm on the boxing websites, all the time. I try to catch every fight I can. The only reason why I have HBO and Showtime is the boxing, and not to mention I do watch the Puerto fights, the ESPN fights. I try to watch even the Fox Sports Network fights. I try to watch all the fights I can.
That's brilliant. So, who is your favourite boxer of all time?
I like to say Pernell Whitaker.
Oh, good choice. Good choice. Very, very skillful.
He did things that, gosh, he made. I only think he's lost one fight in my opinion. That's to Trinidad, and that's when he was old and too small.
Oh yeah,
but I thought he beat De La Hoya. I thought he beat
he beat Chavez.
Chavez, and those the only 3 losses he had. So I thought he's only lost one fight for real, and that was at Trinidad.
Now, have you modelled yourself slightly on a Pernell Whitaker, except the height? You are quite a slick southpaw yourself.
Yeah, I like to say I'm like a Pernell Whitaker that could punch. That was his only thing, is that he didn't have much of a pop, but man, he was fast. and I love watching his tapes. It just gives me like lights a fire under my ass where I just want to go running or something just to make sure I'm as good as Pernell, not better.
Like the impression that I got with Pernell Whitaker is that he could just like glue his feet to the floor and it wouldn't matter. It's just all in the pocket, just all upper body movement, and it looks great when it's done properly, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah, and he never bent too much at the waist though. You know, he would compensate with bending his knees, and he was like a specialist out there.
No, he was. He's really good. It was brilliant head movement, brilliant shoulder work, brilliant rolls. It was all brilliant. Now, I'm happy to draw this to a close now, Austin. If any message you'd like to send to your fans, any form of social media networking, any information.
Yeah. Follow me on Twitter at No Doubt Trout. You can follow me on Facebook.com/No Doubt Trout. I want to thank John Campbell for this interview and Real Combat Media for giving me another interview. And you guys got blessed and tune in December 1st and ready to shock the world.
Yep, likewise, Austin. I thank you personally. Real Combat Media thanks you on behalf of all the fans that are listening to this and all the information. We're going to leave it at a close. Take care, guys.